Then welcome back to the channel, and to the long-awaited second episode of Scary Story Saturdays, a show where I read you a scary story on Saturday, usually. And I have a really good one for you guys today. It's one that I wrote myself, actually. Today's scary story is called...
Hey Bill, you should watch Velma.
What? Right now? I'm in the middle of a video that I'm already recording.
OMG, I'd love to hear what you have to say about Velma.
I'm currently busy with something at the moment. Perhaps some other time.
Dude, you should watch Velma, man. I heard it was pretty bad.
I would, but I have this whole schedule thing going on, and I'm really trying to give equal attention to the shows on my channel. Plus, I already have a new episode of Media Mondays planned for next week, the Human Centipede one, so I really don't think I have time for...
Are you gonna watch Velma? I think it'd be a great video to make.
I'm sure it would be, but I already have a set schedule for my next few...
I've been
Watch
waiting
Velma.
for this
Velma
shit.
has been out for like
5
3 months
weeks
and you
now.
still
Are
haven't
you
done
gonna
it.
watch
Dude,
Velma?
you should watch
So
Velma,
can
Bro,
you
what's
get
going
on
on with
there?
this Velma
Pretty
review,
bad.
man?
Since yesterday.
Get
You should
on
watch Velma.
Ah! Fine. I'll watch... Velma. Welcome back to the channel, and to the third installment of the most popular series on this channel, for some reason, Media Mondays, a show on the channel where I analyze, review, and rate consumable content. From movies to music and everything in between, talk about it all, and put it on your screen. And at the end of every review, I will rate the piece of media I'm covering as a meh, memorable, mediocre, a masterpiece, or a masterpiece of shit. This will be done on a scale from 0 to 5, and I will have 4 different categories that I will rank, then average them all to an overall score. Characters, story and plot, rewatchability, and the finale. Today on the chopping block is a show by the name of Velma, a show that needs no introduction, and this show is a pretty hot topic in itself, and I also try to stray away from popular things that I feel have been talked to death about. Note, this does not mean I will not talk about something just because it is popular, but just things that I feel have already had more than enough coverage or have been analyzed in ways that I would want to talk to already. However, because I got so much requests on this specific show, I'm gonna watch it and break it down for you guys. While my Human Centipede episode is currently in the works, I was gonna keep the horror theme going with a scary story, but looks like you get the Velma review instead. So I guess that was technically true about keeping the theme going, because this show was painful to watch and was truly unsettling from start to finish. No, not even in the same way as Human Centipede. It was unsettling in the way that something was off, that something was wrong. And then I realized, oh yeah, it's because the show is not very good. I try to keep things very apolitical on my channel, because one, I myself am an apolitical person, and I think that people who dislike something or someone based solely on their politics and nothing else at all is some pretty stupid shit. And two, this is meant to be an analytical channel, not a political channel. So, I will not be mentioning the political undertones or overtones of Velma as best I can. I will be focusing on why Velma fails from a storytelling and narrative perspective, not from a political perspective. I heard a lot of bad things about this show going into it, and I've already seen a couple of clips and stuff, so I really tried to not watch as much as I could before making my own reviews, so I didn't already have like a preconceived notion going into something, because whenever I make a review on something, I never want to go in with the idea that, man, I'm gonna hate this so much. I try to keep an open mind and be like, you know what, I'm gonna watch this, and it might be good, I hope it is, because I'm putting my time in it, so clearly, it's gotta be worth something. And an issue I face when writing the script, but the main portion is my explaining of the events of the show, but to call it that would be an insult to the word events, as things just kind of happen, and we as the audience are made to believe that things are Velma's fault, or they turn out not to be, or they're just not her fault at all. And even when they say that they're her fault, they're like, yeah, it's not her fault because she's Velma. Velma tries to push her faults onto other people and other characters, and make them feel bad for things that she herself is in the wrong for. I'm getting ahead of myself. Goodness, the show is so bad. Let me just explain it. I will try to make this as funny as I can for you because none of this was a good time at all. With all that said, it's time to dive into the many faults of this show. You have been warned. You see, when the first actual scene of this show you are introduced to is cockroaches having sex in a high school girl's locker room, you already know where all the quality of the writing went, and this should have been my first warning that watching Velma was not the right choice to make.
Oh, I actually kind of love it. Sex sells. And in today's overcrowded market, you need a hook.
The only hook a good show ever needs is good storytelling.
Oh, the irony. So I'm gonna try to skip over details that are not important to whatever experience this show is trying to portray from a storytelling experience, because a lot of nothing kind of happens for a while, and I will not waste more time than I need to covering this mess. A bunch of popular girls, and Velma, find a girl in Velma's locker who has no brain in her head, and Velma is originally seen as guilty for the murder before some incompetent cops tell her that she has 24 hours to find the real murderer, or she's going to jail. However, Velma has these hallucinations whenever she tries to solve a mystery, so she will need to find someone to help her deal with them. This is where we meet who was a decent character, until later, and his name is Norval, or not Shaggy, as I will continue to call him for the remainder of this video. Unlike the actual Shaggy who can use Ultra Instinct, not Shaggy has Ultra Simpstinct, and my god, does he get annoying after a while with that. What does make him important is that not Shaggy gave Brenda, the girl who was killed, his camera to take pictures of shady things happening at a diner. So that leads them to go to Fred's house. And Fred, in this universe, is...
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
more than you think, but less than you'd hope, is what I'd say about him. But I'll get to him and the rest of the mystery morons in my character breakdown section of the video. Velma attempts to break and enter into Fred's house to get not Shaggy's camera, and gets a panic attack from a hallucination she has of her missing mom. Oh yeah, her mom went missing, and ever since then, Velma's been having these hallucinations, and they occur every time she attempts to find the truth behind why her mom went missing. Not Shaggy confesses his feelings to her, and she blows it off like he was joking and doesn't take him seriously.
Yes, it's hilarious. I'm the funniest man alive.
The incompetent cops show up and shoot Fred's knees out before he is arrested under the suspicion of being the killer. Of course, he's not the actual killer, because that would be too easy. So Velma needs to find the actual killer still. Oh, and the whole figure out who the killer is in 24 hours or you go to jail? Yeah, seems even the show forgot about that because it's literally never mentioned again, and Velma should technically be in jail right now, but whatever. Speaking of side plots that go nowhere and have no consequence, Daphne is a school drug dealer, apparently, and is doing so in order to get the money to hire a private investigator to find her birth parents because she is adopted. Why selling drugs was the first thing she thought of doing instead of getting an after-school job is beyond me. But my theory is that way the writing team can refer to these drugs she sells as
Zoinks, Jeepers, Mystery Machine.
who the hell approved this line? This isn't funny? You aren't funny. Enough. Anyway, a bunch of nonsense happens and they begin to tease us with a very predictable Velma and Daphne romance subplot that I'm willing to bet money that no one but horny basement dwellers ever asked for. Not Shaggy tried to sell his kidney to get money for Velma so that she will go out with him. However, when he sees Daphne kiss Velma and order her to help her get over her hallucination episodes, he realizes that she doesn't like him like that. Velma's hallucinations are another thing that I don't like about her. Her character was already boring within the continuity of the show, and adding this didn't make me like her anymore. It just made me try to guess when she would have another one of those plot-driven panic attacks, but more on that later when I break down her character. The next episode is literally just Velma and Daphne bickering about their undefined relationship and what it means for both of them. What feelings do they have and who actually kissed who first? The answer is Daphne, by the way, and it's not even debatable. During all this irrelevant arguing, Daphne's moms have a tournament that is literally rigged in their daughter's favor, and I'm honestly certain that they only did this so that they could see Daphne beat up half the girls in the school because literally no one stood a chance.
Killer, honey! I mean, go sportsmanship!
I'm honestly really sick of this show, not getting to the point and wasting time on all this filler and delivering half-baked jokes that don't even make me
Less vulnerable.
Okay, I'll admit, alright, that was actually pretty funny. But only because Velma really deserved it and she's a terrible person. So apparently the lady Velma's dad cheated on is pregnant. I watched the show 3 times in a row in preparation for this video, and I swear, every time I always forgot about it. Even when I was recording this bit for my video, while I was going down my script, I literally forgot that she was pregnant. That's just how forgettable a lot of the details in the show are. A lot more nonsense happened that doesn't do jack for the plot of this show, which, may I remind you, is finding a literal serial killer that is targeting adolescent women that attend high school. Not Shaggy keeps simping for Velma, and I am constantly reminded of why I don't like this girl the more she's on screen. Fred reads a book about the inner beauty of women, and suddenly finds conventionally attractive women less attractive now.
What have you done to me?
Which is not how books work, by the way, but whatever. There is a bunch of other stuff that happens, but literally none of it matters for the overall story, so I'm skipping all of it. All I got from this episode was that this show needs to stop messing around and get back on track. The last episode was basically filler with just enough info to make it plot related, and this episode suffers from a similar problem. Why do I feel like this is going to be a reoccurring trend? Oh well. We later learn about a secret government project that was created to try to get kids on board with the act of war that Not Shaggy's grandma was funded for. And the name of that project was...
Special Covert Operations Brain Initiative. Scooby.
Scooby? And wait, what did Scooby do?
Moving beyond that insufferable joke, and the closest we will ever get to seeing Scooby-Doo in this show, we are told that Not Shaggy's grandma couldn't hack it, lost her funding, and went mad, so they put her in an institution. And that's all the useful information from this episode. So, like always, a bunch of nothing happens for a while until Velma and her dad are finally bonding while they eat dinner at a tacky strip club, and she's talking to his girlfriend who is home with the baby. Oh yeah, girlfriend gave birth and is no longer pregnant, but literally who cares? This scene is cheesy, but it's honestly the closest we've gotten so far as to how people would actually communicate and at least the jokes aren't completely unbearable.
I'm doing what every girl is doing up here. I'm just trying to get my dad's attention.
I'm not giving the show any more compliments. So, remember that whole subplot about Daphne dealing drugs at school so she can get enough money to hire a detective to find her biological parents? Turns out, that was all literally a waste of time. I know, right? Who would have guessed? Because they just leave her the most obvious clues on how to find her, and also even throw a rock through her window to get her attention. Anyway, it turns out that they are felons, just like their daughter, and they've been using her as a bargaining piece against the police. However, well, the whole plan is squashed before it even gets a chance to hatch, so having any emotional investment in the subplot is not worth it at all. Again, shocker, who would have guessed? Velma and Fred find an entrance to the underground lab, let some bricks fall on them, and then the dad comes out to help.
Is that you?
Oh, Velma, it's me, the parent who only abandoned you emotionally.
Alright, this was perhaps the first joke that I actually laughed at that wasn't slapstick humor. It wasn't super funny, but it's better than anything else so far. But I suppose when the bar for quality in the show has been set so low it's below the Marianas Trench, at least one or two things need to hit, right? The three of them go down to the lab and try to look for clues, but all they find of value is a piece of paper that says Jinkies.
Jinkies!
So, Velma decided to look for where Jinkies comes from, but continuously it comes up empty with each attempt to find the origin of the word and why her missing mom wrote it down on that piece of paper. Oh yeah, this happens too, but it doesn't matter, so it's whatever. Apparently there was this thing called Fog Fest, and in order to walk around the boardwalk in the fog, you need a date if you are a woman. The events from this point leading up to the actual Fog Fest don't matter, so let's talk about what actually matters.
There's something funny about you. Not LOL funny, but more thoughtful and well observed, like a female-driven comedy.
Unfortunately, it seems that even in a major event, such as Fogfest, a whole lot of nothing still happens, and it does lead to Velma, who looks like a racially insensitive Steve Harvey doll that I would buy from Wish.com, and Daphne, talking about things they struggle with, and even admit that if you aren't helping Velma look for her mom, you aren't even important to her, and neither are your issues.
But unless you're helping her find her dumb mom, she has no time for you.
What a great main character we have. Some more nonsense happens, and then we get one of those classic wacky chase scenes with confusing rifts in space and time like in the original Scooby-Doo, but I'm honestly so bored with this show that I can't even rely on nostalgia to enjoy a scene like this, even though those used to be classic for Scooby-Doo. Oh, and then they ruined it with another terrible meta joke, so even if I could enjoy it, now I can't. There's more of this half-assed love triangle and things that don't matter once again, so now we go on to the next episode. I really hate this episode so much. It's so annoying and perhaps the most skippable episode in the show had it not been for the details near the end. The writing clearly reached a new low, and the meta jokes in this episode.
You going from Daphne to Velma is worse than going from a beloved cartoon to a playful reimagining.
Are the worst yet. This episode actually made me hate Velma as a character. Before I was just bored of her. Then I was annoyed. Now I'm upset with everything she does and everything she is. This is all the time I'll be spending on this episode for now, but don't worry, I will get back to it, eventually. The only thing of value here is that Velma's mom is back and Fred found the missing brains, somehow. However, as the plot would have it, she has the very boring and tiresome trope of amnesia, and can't remember anything useful. Great. Next episode is, once again, a whole lot of nothing where the main character just try to make Velma's mom remember who the killer is by doing a whole lot of nonsense. So much so that not Shaggy's mom, who is the principal of the school he goes to by the way, says that he should change schools and make better friends because these idiots that he hangs out with now, they ain't it. Oh, and the ending of all this is that Velma's mom says that she remembers that she's the killer, but it's such a lazy red herring that it's not even misdirection for the sake of a twist, it's just actually factually wrong. Finally, the last episode. Oh, by the way, did I tell you that I watched this whole show at 2x speed because I wanted to get through it so badly because I was sick of Velma's voice? Well, now you know. Anyway, this is perhaps the most plot-driven episode of the show so far, and that's about as much as a compliment for the pacing that the show is gonna get from me. The plot of this episode is that Velma doesn't understand why her mom confessed to being the serial killer as it makes no sense, which is both the first and the last time Velma says something that I somewhat agree with. So she is trying to talk to her mom who's apparently already on death row, even though all she did was confess, like 2 days ago. I guess they just skipped trial and due process and all that stuff. At the very least, a mystery needs to be solved, so that way they can justify promoting this trash under the Scooby-Doo IP, so the mystery morons find the clues and evidence they need to locate and expose the true killer behind all this, which turns out to be Fred's mom. Fred's mom, Victoria Jones, did all this so that way her life's work was not ruined by the incompetence of the men in her life. After the reveal, not Shaggy indirectly kills Fred's mom, who is trying to kill him first with a gun. All this does not end well, as the four mystery morons are now stuck with each other, as all their other friends are either dead or don't like them anymore.
TV got even better while you were kidnapped.
If this show was on TV, then clearly it did not. Now that I've finished my overall summary for the show, it's time for my ratings and remarks. And if you thought I was sprose on compliments before, oh boy, are you gonna love what I have to say about these characters. Actually, to save us all some time, I'm gonna do something a bit unorthodox for a Media Monday episode and put all the categories into one, because they're all getting the exact same score except for one. And that score is 0 out of 5. I know, what a surprise. The characters, story and plot, and the rewatchability for the top pile of garbage is terrible. The characters seem like they were the worst types of people, there are no genuine good characters, and they all suck. Velma is perhaps one of the most insufferable protagonists I have ever had the displeasure of watching on my screen, and when you have a character that says this...
But this is still all my fault.
Wait, what? For reals? Because honestly, I was really grasping at straws when I blamed you.
That is literally all you need to know about them, what type of character they are, and what type of person they are. Trash. And while we're on the topic of trash, the consistency for this dumpster fire was loosely coherent at best, and all over the place at worst. And more often than not, it was worse. So many storylines that literally just don't matter or add anything to the show. So many bad writing choices. So much filler. Oh my gosh. There's a reason why most Scooby-Doo mysteries only last like 1 or 2 episodes, not 10. Honestly, if they gave us more mysteries than just the one about Velma's mom that no one fucking cared about, I would have given the show 1 star alone just for that. I was honestly hoping that the show would have had a different mystery every episode with one overarching plot. Instead, what we actually got was an overarching mystery with new filler at every turn. Everything about this show is lazy. There is trash all over the setting, and I believe it's because this show is trash in itself. Rewatchability. Yet another 0-star category for me. The jokes were stale and bland. The meta commentary never landed. The twists don't surprise me, and there is no deeper meaning in the show that can be gleaned like the other 2 shows I've talked about in my previous episodes of Media Monday. The show is about as shallow and lazy as Mindy Kaling's self-insert and the rest of the team that had the audacity to put this garbage on TV, instead of in a dumpster where it belongs. Watching it was painful enough the first time. I'm hoping to never see this show again. No rewatchability. If I could, I'd give it negative on rewatchability. The finale. A finale can either make or break your show, is what I like to say at the start of my segment for covering the ending of a show or movie on Media Mondays. Velma is the exception to this rule, as the show is already broken and there is not a finale in history of TV that can save it from such an abysmal and lackluster performance. But don't worry, because this show also does not even have a good enough ending to save it from my disdain. Well, I suppose it does make sense, as there was too much nonsense that didn't matter leading up to and during the finale that made me lose interest in the facade of stakes that was attempted to be shown and executed. The finale gets a 1 out of 5 stars for me, and it only gets 1 star because thank God this disappointment is finally over. All these scores together give Velma a final average of 0.25 out of 5. Perhaps the most massive piece of shit I have ever seen in a long time. I only watched this because people wanted me to review it and I thought it'd be a good distraction from my Human Centipede project for a while. Human Centipede was unsettling to watch. This was just painful from how bad it was. I'd never go into something with the idea that I was gonna hate it, and I really do try to give something like my full attention and be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go in this and I'm gonna like it. And I told myself, hey, I will watch your show and see if it's not that bad. Unfortunately, just like pineapple on pizza, this was a terrible mistake that must never be repeated. I will admit that anytime Daphne was violently attacking some unsuspecting person was always enjoyable, and here are a few of my favorite moments of that happening. The best thing about Velma was the fact that it ended, and will hopefully never come back. However, now I will set my sights on Miss Mindy Kaling and do a video about her so I can understand why she could confidently pitch and execute this show on the television. The music I used for the majority of this episode of Media Mondays is something I put together myself by remixing the Velma intro song, and I thought it'd be cooler instead of using like a royalty-free track or something like that. So I hope it sounded good to you, and if you guys like that, then maybe I'll see if I can make more of my own sounds for this kind of stuff. Got some new art that was done for the channel by my phenomenal attendant, and I cannot thank her enough. I'm just so sorry that the first instance of these being used is for a series like Velma. But new things are coming soon, and I will be using these in much better productions than my review on such a terrible TV show. And before you ask me, yes, Human Centipede review is coming very soon. I had a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to share my review with you guys. I was able to get someone to watch it with me, and that's going to be great, you know, telling you what their thoughts were as well. Unfortunately, they couldn't record it with me, but that's fine because I'll just speak on their behalf. However, that's going to be where I leave off for now. Thanks for staying until the end, and a big thank you to all 47 of the voices in my head for getting me to this point. Tell me what you thought about this video, and what you want to see me talk about next time. But, until that next time arrives, I'm Inviso Bill, and that's all for my spill. Like, comment, hit subscribe, you'll never know when, but I'll see you next time.